everyone. This is Sylvia with Odyssey of Enlightenment, and today we have Piper here, and we're discussing metaphysical topics and the themes that we see that are playing out in our world right now. Hi, Piper. How are you?
Fine. How are you?
I'm great. I'm excited to connect with you all the way from Wales.
I know. People are like, is that spelled Whales?
No, yeah.
Yeah. No, I've had people be like, I'm like, no, it's not the animal whales. It's the country.
That's so funny. But I love how, see, time is an illusion because we're chatting it up.
Yeah.
I'm in Arizona. You're on the other side of the world, but it's like,
I
there's
know.
no limit. There's no
It's just
separation.
it's a concept.
The concept.
Yeah, it's a concept, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like everything. The things that you allow
Yeah.
to limit you will limit you. But when you don't,
Oh,
you're like,
absolutely.
I'm moving that aside. I'm going to go beyond that. Then everything's possible.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what have you
Yeah.
noticed lately in your world on your side of the planet? You pretty much what's happening here is happening there. All
Yeah.
the chaos
Yeah,
and
pretty
whatnot.
much. Yeah, and it's very easy to get um pulled into that, you know. I've had there's been a few times where I've been like, oh, it's like you want to, there's a party that wants to so much because I can see it's so obvious, to me what, the story of what's
The
happening, that
game.
you're just like, oh,
Mhm.
can't you see that, but it's like, but then that's wanting to get into the battle, and it's just a thing that is playing out. And I think that the thing is that people are like, it's not supposed to be this way, right?
Mm,
Never thinking, but maybe that's exactly the way it is supposed to be, because
right.
it gives us the opportunity to wake up.
Right. And some people need that. I feel like that's the biggest thing that I've learned is that not everybody arrives at the same conclusions as I do when I do.
Yeah,
Eventually
absolutely.
they do, but it's not my job to force feed them. I mean,
I demand, yeah.
right?
I demand you wake up now, Well, people
Yeah.
come in and they have like a trajectory, this will happen, and that, and that, that, and that, and that, and then I'll get it. And
Mhm.
we keep trying to come along going, no, get it now, get it now, get it now, get it
Well, I
now.
mean, I know
It's
I
like,
didn't get it now. It took me a
yeah,
while too. I mean, I didn't wake up until 2016. So I always feel like I had a toe dipped into it. So it definitely was on a timer. But I feel like I waited a really long time because I was taking the scenic route. I was enjoying the drama and like all the
yeah,
ups and downs and, lowest of lows. And I learned a lot and I got really, really strong. But I think in that getting really strong, I guess that's what I want to, like, when I want to help someone is like, I don't want you to suffer like I did, because man, that suffering's a
yeah.
bitch.
Yeah, and I think we want to spare people their pain, and their suffering, because it's when we've gone through those things that we have compassion, and that's when we learn not only unconditional love but compassion, which is, that higher level beyond unconditional love. And that's when, and when we have the experiential understanding of something because we've been through it,
Yeah.
like, me, I've never had a child, so I would never know what that really is, but someone who has
Hmm.
knows what that means, so like if there was a nurse there, I always think of like, well, if there was a nurse at the hospital who's never had a child trying to tell people, we'll just do this and this and just shut up and get on with it, and you're like,
Yeah.
you have no concept, so it's
Wow.
only when you have that experiential understanding because you've been through it
Hmm.
that you truly know it.
Right.
You don't know what it's like to be without food until you've really gone
Right.
hungry. Then you know the value of food. Same with love. When you've really gone without it, then you know the true value of it. Otherwise,
Right.
as God, it's just everything just is. You don't know what it is. It's like a fish in water. What's water? You don't know the value of it.
Hmm. Wow.
We're all,
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
And
like a
now,
kid that's
yeah.
like a kid, sorry, like a kid that's like born rich, you know. Oh, here's your Lamborghini for your 16th birthday. It's like, oh God, I hate that color. Or, you know, I wanted a Maserati. Ugh,
Right.
idiots. You
Right.
know, they have no understanding. They have no appreciation. Send the kid to live in India for a year. Then the person will change, but they'll never truly understand it until we go through these
Wow.
things
And so
ourselves.
they need that right now. That's why we have that volume turned up, heat turned up. Here you
Yeah.
go.
Well, because as you know, otherwise we'll just kind of stay in, you know,
And really,
bullshit.
it's not, I think that this is my like you said, I was born into boot camp. So I know,
Yeah.
like I often play around and say that I was raised by Satan, and because that's what it felt like. And so for me, I'm like, "Ugh, this is nothing. This is easy. This is like,
Yeah. The
and but
rest of it from then on is like,
yeah, but then that was one thing that uh m- my ex-husband taught me, is that like not everyone is as strong as me. What
yeah,
won't break me will break him. And like people
yeah,
have their levels of weakness and strength, and who am I to say that he's wrong or anything? That's his path. He hasn't built the resiliency of being able to withstand certain storms,
yeah,
and I have. So for me, it's like this bodybuilder buff guy and then a little tiny scrawny 12-year-old. And it's like energetically, spiritually, that's how we are. And I just had to accept that. And like, it's okay. Like, you're not bad or wrong, but I want someone like me. I want a
mm-hmm,
bodybuilder, you know,
mm-hmm,
and
yeah, yeah,
an energetic bodybuilder, and like someone who loves learning and growing and all that. And I feel like right now, even though those of us that are like, what are you crying about? It's not even that bad. Like, this is nothing.
yeah,
But to those people, it is bad. It is like, but that's precisely what they need to crack them open. Because it reminds
yeah,
me of my awakening, and I thought I was losing my mind, like everything just collapsing, jobs, relationship, everything. And I felt
yeah,
like, what the fuck is going on? What am I doing wrong? What, like,
yeah,
everything's turned against me? How, like, trying to just understand and feeling totally insane. And now I feel like that's happening to so many people on a global
right,
scale
yeah,
all
it
at
is.
once.
Yeah, and that's really the thing, is that when we start to wake up and stuff, and we're trying to get this stuff, and we realize we've been so misled and so hurt by so many people, we want to protect ourselves, and we're so desperate to get it right, you know? So we're trying, as seekers,
Mm,
we're trying to get it right, because we're kind of hardwired with this thing that we need to be good enough, that there's some kind of
mm,
test that we have to pass, that you got to get it, and it's a secret thing that, you know, you just have to figure out. It's almost impossible, but you know, so we're all like, feel like we're crawling, like, what is it? Oh, I'm trying to, why am I in school, or what's happening, you know?
mhm. And trying to
So we
be
get,
perfect, right? Like, there's this
yeah,
thing that says you have to be perfect, you have to be vegan, you have to, be
yeah,
celibate,
be
you
the
have to whatever
be
bullshit.
the yoga goddess, and the
Yeah, you can't
vegan,
get
or the raw
mad,
foodist.
you can't
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
cuss.
yeah. So there's all these, you know, criteria that we've kind of been convinced of, that we have to be good enough and perfect and all this stuff in order to be one of the chosen ones, to finally get a bite of that carrot dangling in front of us that we can never
Mm.
quite reach, you know?
Yeah,
But
well, that's a religious propaganda, isn't it? Like, you have to be a certain
yeah,
caliber to enter the kingdom of heaven. But I feel like
yeah,
just by being alive, you're already worthy. You're already enough.
yeah, absolutely. Because if you weren't worthy, I mean, the most important thing out of everything in on being alive in a physical body on a planet
Hmm.
is your breath, right? Without that,
Yeah.
you got nothing. Nothing is more important than your ability, your right to breathe. So if that's the first thing you're given when you're born, the right to breathe and the breath of life, how could you, the most precious thing there is, how could you not be worthy of everything else?
Mm, yeah.
You're already given that, and nothing's more important than that,
Yeah.
than this
Prana, life
experience.
force.
So, yeah,
Mhm.
how could you ever think that you're not good enough for everything else?
Yeah. So
But
then
it
that's
is
the first step is realizing, okay, I must be important because I'm here.
right,
And I must
right,
be important because I'm waking up.
yeah.
And
Well,
so I'm
every one of
feeling,
us is, yeah.
mhm.
There's that illusion of I need to be important enough, I need to be good enough, and all of that,
Oh,
and
so
it's
then
just,
what does important look like and what does good enough look like? So then you put all these limitations on that.
yeah,
And like all of well I remember like throughout this process of awakening, which it's so interesting to me how the normal people are now going through what I went through of like that cosmic quarantine where I was like cocooned
yeah,
and no outside influences, and like you're gonna stay here and you're healing, you're in your cocoon phase, you're evolving and all this stuff. And like how I just desperately wanted to claw myself out of this cage and go out and
yeah,
experience, but I wasn't ready. I couldn't even crawl, let alone walk. And I was so like, oh, I want to get out there. I want to connect with people because I think you're
yeah,
just like starving for that 3D
yeah.
connection.
The people
But
who
like,
understand you.
yeah, your community.
Yeah, and to know that, because that's one of the first things you're just kind of like, well, oh my God, I'm the only one. Maybe I'm just crazy,
Yeah.
or what's wrong with me, And what's really interesting, because you have gone through your gestation period, and I have gone through mine, and many other people who
Hmm.
become much more aware have gone through, where they spent years and years alone, and now it's that aloneness, that quarantine is happening globally.
Right.
So it's kind of like, some of us did it before, and now it's just whoosh,
Now the
we're
entire
all,
earth is in
yeah,
gestation. Yeah, she's pregnant with the new way.
yeah. So it's just a process, and
Yeah,
it's a natural and normal process for this time.
so surrendering, because that was the single most helpful thing for me, was just accepting where I was, making the most out of where I am. And like it kind of reminded me of that movie Flowers in the Attic, or like the thought of being in prison, even because I used to look at it like I'm in prison. And my guides would say, you're like in a spa. We like hooked you up. You have everything you need. You don't have to like struggle. But I was saying, I'm in prison as I stand and look at my gorgeous palm tree and my gorgeous weather. And they're like, shut up. You have the best of everything.
Yeah,
And I'm
I've
like,
always,
yeah, I do. I do have the best of everything. And like, I feel like that whole thing that you said about the rich kid of like, well, I don't like the color of Lamborghini. I feel like a
yeah,
lot of us are like that. It's like, look at
yeah,
what you have. You have so much. You have so much. And like really being grateful for like, well, I'm really healthy. And I know a lot of people that are struggling with health. And I mean, yes, I would like to lose weight. And I may do that someday if the chocolate cake doesn't keep calling me back. But like that's not a big deal. Like, so what? And like realizing how freaking blessed I am in
yeah.
all these other ways, and like it could be worse. Like, shut up, be grateful, and like really, you know.
Well, we tend to, the ego is really like, I always liken it to, people are like thrashing around going, I'm dying, I'm dying, I'm dying, which of course that was me. That wasn't me. Like for years and years and years, I'm dying, I'm dying. And then the universe kind of looking at me going, yeah. I'm drowning, I'm drowning, I'm drowning. And they're like, stand up, you're in 2 feet of water.
Yes.
No, 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 I'm drowning, I'm drowning. They're like, stand
It's so
up.
dramatic, right? Like little kids
Yeah,
playing house or
yeah.
something.
I wanted them to come in and get me and baby me and stuff. And they're like, look,
Right.
I'm trying
Coddle.
to teach you how that you can do it yourself, that you can stand up, you have the
Right.
ability. And this time I'm not, you have to stand up.
Oh, like they're
But
not
yeah.
allowed. Like this is the okay, training wheels are off. Let's see what you
Well,
got.
yeah.
What you made of.
Well, because that's when the fun starts. When you
It
find out
is.
that you're not the victim, that you do have control, and you learn to drive this thing. Now that's fun. That's worth
Right.
doing.
When you step into your power for the first time, holy
Yeah,
shit, that is so addictive.
yeah, yeah. And then you're like, ooh, what else can I do?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's this is like the springboard. So this is not only an evolutionary process. This is an evolution in consciousness.
Yes.
It's
And
taking
then so
place.
seeing, like once I started realizing that, I started seeing how, oh, so this situation and every situation that comes after this is really for me because it's another exercise for me to see how powerful I am. It's
Mhm.
just to show
Yeah.
me, hey, remember you're a badass? And like to remind me like, oh, actually I have full control of this and I can make it unfold any way I want.
Yeah, yeah. There's obviously we can have a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun to be had,
Mhm.
especially with the energies now. It depends on which way you want to focus your attention.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, you can
but
be in a
yeah,
scary movie or you can be in a really exciting, positive
yeah.
adventure.
But it's I think even the bigger picture is that we keep looking at life and our lives and saying like it's wrong. It shouldn't be that way. My past shouldn't have been the way it was. The world shouldn't be the way it is. Not questioning and thinking for a moment, well, maybe that's exactly the way it is supposed to be. Maybe that's exactly what had to happen to me. Otherwise, I wouldn't be where I am now,
Right.
you know, if those things hadn't have happened. And
Right.
it's the same with the world because we keep saying it's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong that it is like it is, not ever thinking that maybe that's not true.
There's a bigger plan unfolding.
Yeah, yeah. And we're like little kids in like a closet, and we can't see what's happening in the rest of the house, let alone outside the house in the city and
Hmm.
the country. We don't get to see that.
Hmm.
We don't,
It's above your pay grade, like they say in the military. That's
yeah,
on a need to know basis, and it's above your pay
yeah.
grade. You don't need to know that. Yeah.
Well, you can't. It's kind of spoiling, the
Right.
whole fun of it is waking up and finding out what you can do. Um,
Right.
and waking up and realizing that none of it is wrong, that it is all a bigger picture, and it's all doing exactly what it needs to do.
Yeah.
We keep judging that as wrong, you know.
Right. Well, and also I have been reminded other times where like my guidance tells me if you knew everything that was going to happen,
You're like, I'm
number one,
fine.
we would never be able to get you to go over here or over there because you're
Yeah.
hell no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, you've got to be kidding.
Because you limit yourself. You never think you're strong enough. You never think you're ready because you just won't.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you need that push.
Yeah, well, because what we're coming from a concept of mind, and the mind, you'll never be good enough. You know, you'll never be thin enough, rich enough, pretty enough, popular enough. You'll never be enough. When you come up from a place from the mind, because it will always want more. No matter, you see people who have trillions and they're still not happy. They still want more.
Yeah.
Um, they've got all the popularity in the world. They've got the most beautiful bodies or whatever, and they're
Mhm.
still not happy because that's not it.
Right.
that
Like all these
doesn't
movie
that
stars.
doesn't equal happiness, and the mind thinks
Right.
it does.
Like all these movie stars that like overdose and like they're
Yeah,
so lonely and miserable and that's proof that it's not the money, it's not the status, it's not the fame, it's
yeah.
not the
We
house.
bought into that story that it is, and I worked for many years in Hollywood, and that was one of the beautiful things I was able to learn through it is like I knew for sure I'm like it's not there.
Mm.
And people would come to me and be like, "Oh wow, California or Hollywood," and I'd be like, "It's not there.
Yeah,
It's not in a place outside
right.
of you."
Right. Well, and then like how Abraham Hicks says, like people say, well, I'm just going to quit this job and I'm going to move to another country and I'm going to, just start from scratch and clean slate. And then she says, well, you're taking yourself with you. So you might as well just plan it. And then like you're still taking yourself with you. So really it's all inside. So it has nothing
Yeah.
to do. And that was brought up to me from my guidance when I was so hell-bent on moving back to Chicago after the divorce. And again, I was shown, well, you're just running away. You're trying to run away from yourself, but you can't. So where you are is completely irrelevant. It's you. So they brought me back inside to myself, and how, like, I would have never have even believed it. And I feel like the fact that I didn't get what I was asking for was such a blessing, because in hindsight, I saw, oh, wow, I see all the ways it could have gone really bad had I gotten what I wanted. And I was so adamant, this is what I want. This is what it has to
I demand this now. Give it to me now.
Yeah. And when I didn't get it, I was like, oh my God, thank God I didn't get what I was freaking out about wanting.
Yeah.
And so grateful that I saw it, because I think a lot of us don't see it. And like, you can trick yourself for years and years into thinking, I didn't get what I want. I was wronged. I was slighted. I was this, I was that. Everything that happens is exactly perfect for you. And it's a blessing. And it's always to bless you and nobody else but you. You're number one. You're the star of the movie.
Yeah, definitely. But it's, I always think of it like, we've got 5 senses, basically to interpret something that is infinite. I've got 5 little senses to interpret, so I'm like, okay, basically I'm driving blind. So I have to rely on my help,
right?
And the feeling, because it comes through here.
Mm-hmm.
How does that feel? Because there's so many times in my life where I've been in a situation, a relationship, or what have you, and logically it makes sense. Oh, well, yeah, but you should stay in that job because, or you should stay in that relationship because of, the mind will make, excuses. Oh, well, yeah, but it would be great for this, or you don't know what's happening if you leave. So it makes all these, reasons why you should stay, even though it feels bad. It feels bad. And the way you figure it out is, what does it produce? What does that relationship produce? What does that job produce? What does that situation produce? And if it keeps producing unhappiness, or stress or whatever, then the truth of it.
Like for me, I have been for years now, everybody, in the old reality, still tries to put their 2 cents in and say, you need to go back into law enforcement. You need to go, I look great on paper.
That would be logical, right?
Well, that's what they keep telling me. And I mean, I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. I was really good at it. But for me, I feel like I want to see what else is out there. I want to go on a new adventure. But then there's that little, like, well, maybe I should, and I could work here and I could work there, and like seeing all the possibilities. Yeah. But then there's this deep knowing there's something else. And maybe I haven't discovered it yet, but I know there's something else. But the little voice is like, come over here. You could come work over here. And I'm like, but I've already done that. It doesn't excite me. I know on like, yes, like you said, the ego pops up with its PowerPoint presentation of all the ways that it would be, and to me, I'm like, oh, that's so boring. Like, no, I want to see what else I can do. I know I'm a powerful being. And even though I feel like there's a part of me that wants to go right up to the edge, to the precipice of like, okay, now there's no more options. And then like the magic unfolds, because I feel like that's where I'm at right now, where I'm like, I don't know what it is, but I know it's not that.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Well, the mind, it wants something it's used to. So it's already got that program in there. So it's like, oh, I can just put that program on piece of cake,
Autopilot.
right? Right. And otherwise it's a new thing. I gotta learn it. I gotta figure it out. Oh, God knows what that'll be like. So no, 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 no.
Yeah, you're
It
gonna
doesn't
die.
want you.
You're gonna die
Then
when
because
you
then it's because then it's gotta work. It wants
Mm.
the old program because it's easy and it doesn't have to work.
But I feel
You
like
know?
that's the new way is creating, like I'm creating brick by brick my road. Like, oh, what is this like? And what about this? And what if this? And what if that? And that's how I'm just literally, we're all creating 5D, whatever it is for us. We're all creating our own next reality, the unfolding of it with, you know, and I feel like this time could be greatly used for that. Like, stop looking back because you already lived that. That's
Yeah.
boring. Like, let's make a new story. What else can we create?
Yeah, because why limit yourself?
Yeah, there's no
But
limit.
otherwise, but yeah, because most people they spend almost every single thought every single day thinking about what happened,
Mm.
and that's like driving backwards. You're trying to get to the future, but you're just gonna run over everything. You know, if you're looking that way, then you're just gonna crash all over the place.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like we've been told about like this 5D and all of this, and oh, we're gonna get there, blah 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 blah. That's just one thing, because and that's a really big thing to me, because if stuff is divided into levels like 3D, 4D, 5D, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever you want to do,
Mhm.
that's still levels, right? So that's still separation. That's
Mm.
different level. That's still good, better, best.
Okay.
That's still separation of the mind.
Mhm.
So even though that they are realities, and there are as many realities as there are people or individuals, because everyone has a different perspective, and my reality
Mhm.
is completely different than your reality, even though we can be living in exactly the same house even.
Yeah.
um So when we think of the mind thinks of all these other things like beyond, okay, what's beyond death? And there's all these other levels and blah, 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 blah. But it's still concepts and to me, creations by the mind. So to me, there's still levels of mind, because if you were truly out of mind and that wasn't ruling things, there would be no separation. There just would
You
be
just
one
are.
thing. There would be the realization that everything is just this one thing. And there wouldn't be all these, oh, now I've made it to this level, now I'll make it to that level. And it's still trying to get there. So yeah, and I think that, so much of what we're doing is we're trying to get to the next level and pass that test, as opposed to just stepping out of the mind and going, well, why do I even have to play that game?
Mm.
You can if you want to,
Mhm.
but you don't have to.
So then
So
it's like
what's a
being in a bowl of soup, like we're all just together.
Yeah, and a lot of times people are like, "Oh, maybe that'd be boring," but a lot of times people want to have a body, right? Even if it's a light body, well, that sounds great. Ooh, crystalline body. It's like, wow, that sounds really good. But if you're crystalline, then that means if you're just one thing, you stop. So you're not evolving anymore. Life is meant to be many different things, many different beautiful colors. It's like a rainbow,
Mhm.
right? We're not all supposed to be one thing, one people, one planet, one thing. Then there's just one thing. And the beauty of the expression of source, creator, God, whatever you want to call it, is that it's a multitude of things expressing itself in all these amazing ways. Because what else can I do? In nature, I could be a
Yeah.
plant, a
And that
tree, a
makes it fun.
sunset.
That makes it fun because I love meeting new people. And one of the things I love about myself is that I feel like a chameleon, like I am very adaptable
Yeah.
and I can talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime, regardless of their age, sex, ethnicity, if they grew up rich, poor. Like I've had so many jobs everywhere with like millionaires and like people who have nothing. And I get along with all of them because I feel like I relate to them somehow. And like
Because you've
we end up
been there. Yeah.
probably all my lives, yeah. And like we always end up being the best of friends and laughing at everything. But I love what makes them different. That's so intriguing to me. I love meeting different people, like learning about what do you eat and what do you like and what do you think, and just that's so fun to
Yeah.
me because it's like being at a buffet and you get to try the sweet, the sour, the salty, the bitter, everything, and it's just such a fun experience, and that makes life fun
Yeah.
and worth living, is all the variety.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's like a painting. If you left one of the colors out, it would never be it
Mm,
wouldn't be the same painting. It's like a rainbow. You leave out one of the colors,
yeah.
it's not a rainbow anymore. And
Hmm.
it's the same with all the expressions of God in all the different ways in polarity, whether we think it's good or bad. You leave any of it out, and it's not
It's not the same.
God, really. It's not God
Mhm.
or source
Yeah.
creator, whatever you want to call it,
Right.
because that's what it is. That's how it's showing up.
Because God is
And we're
everything.
judging it. Yeah, we keep judging it. Oh, I like this part of that, but I don't like that part of that. Well, you don't know where it is in its own evolution, why it's going through that, how it's at taking its time and its pace to get to where it needs to go when it needs to get there and evolving. And we're saying like, well, it was bad that you were a caveman. It was bad that you were a this or that. And when all of it, teaches you
Yeah.
and you wouldn't be who you are now.
Yeah, absolutely. So even relationships, jobs,
Yeah.
uh, friends that betray you, they all taught you something and you taught them something.
Yeah. Yeah,
So it's all
absolutely.
a
Then you
necessary
then
part.
you know, and that's the same thing. That's when you truly know, and that's when you learn compassion.
Mm.
And that's the big one, because people think unconditional love is, oh, if I'm in a place of unconditional love, well, that's really kind of a place of suffering, because you're unconditionally loving others, but not having compassion for yourself, so you keep giving yourself away and everything away and having no care and compassion for yourself, as well as compassion for the other person, that they are free to, maybe I'm not going to fix it for them because you can't. You can't fix it for them because people won't really even let you fix it for them,
Wow. Well, and it's
Yeah.
not your job. But remember
Yeah, absolutely.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
So then I feel like that's where a lot of us are, is holding space for other people. Like, I know you're an incredible, powerful being, and I know you'll figure this out. And if you don't in this lifetime, that's okay. You don't have to. Like, you don't have to change. You don't have to do anything. You can't get it wrong. It's perfect
Mhm.
wherever you are, whatever you choose. So then giving ourselves a break, like, okay, stop beating up on yourself. Because I know in that cosmic quarantine that I was in for all those years, I would always judge myself for like
Yeah.
uh, being laid out in bed from the frequencies coming into the planet and the upgrades and all that, and it would just lay me flat. And I would
Yeah.
judge myself of like, well, you haven't been productive today, you haven't done anything today, anything 3D, that qualifies
Yeah.
as productive, because really you're doing a whole bunch of shit for everybody, but you don't know you know
Yeah. A friend of mine has a little thing on their Facebook page that says, I may not look like I'm very busy, but on a cellular level, I'm like tremendously busy,
We are, and so many levels. I feel like it
Yeah.
far exceeds anything we can even wrap our heads around. But like, and we're doing it for the planet, for everybody in our neighborhood, our families, etc. But like that beating myself up of, oh, I didn't do anything, so I failed, and I'm a failure because dot dot dot. Fill in the blank.
Yeah. Yeah. We're very, very hard on ourselves. There's so much that we do that we have the slightest clue the impressions that we make, and the things that we trigger for other people, are massive. Even just being here on the planet, and holding this light,
Mhm.
Just that alone
Yeah. Just
is
being you.
massive. That is huge. To be, if you're a person that is in a place right now and that is, instead of going, oh, what's wrong, worry, 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 because when you focus on that, your focus narrows and you become less, and you cut off parts of yourself, become less and less. And when you relax and you're just like, it's okay. And you just, and it just happens by just literally kind of focusing on or just thinking on it. And people are like, no, I have to have this process, it's gonna be the special things. Like, no. You just literally were like, yeah, come on in. And you let
Relax.
more, yeah, it's like it's too simple for people, and that's the problem. Is we want things, no, it's got to be 30 years
Complicated
of really meditating in a
for 20 hours. Yeah.
yeah, in a cave and suffering and being in the cold and starving, and then I'll finally be like, okay, well, that was worthy of enlightenment, so I'll give it to
Yeah.
myself. But yeah, we don't have to do all those things, to get it. It's literally that simple of just changing your focus. Oh, I'm focusing. Oh, it's like, okay, I'm not going to focus on the problem. I'm just going to allow the larger part of me come on in, just come on in, and bring me the answers, bring me the information, because that happens fast now. Whenever I ask, within 24 hours tops,
Quick.
you get the answer.
Yeah. Just so then you just have to like ask and be willing to receive. But I feel
And
like to receive, you can't be like harping on it's like making a phone call. You can't be like calling them back to back to back to back. It's like, okay, you're asked your question, shut the fuck up. Receive, open up, listen, because then when you're like distracting yourself with washing the dishes or hiking, looking at butterflies, petting your dog, whatever, laughing with your kids, watching cartoons, whatever, that's when it comes. You'll see something on the screen and you're like, oh, that's it. That's exactly what I wanted to know. And there it is. It will find you. Like you don't have to go looking for it. You already asked, so now let it find you. Same thing with love, right? We were just talking about that. It will find you. The universe knows what you want. And like you're prime example for that.
Yeah. Well, I think if you get to a place where you're just you won't settle for anything less, because otherwise the universe is like, you sure you don't want that? You were taking that for, years and years and years. Come on. You're like, no.
Yeah, you want this dirty piece of hamburger that fell on the floor?
Yeah. I'd rather have nothing than that. Yeah.
Yeah, this was your jam in 1987. Are you sure?
But yeah, you have to not really settle for less. It's like, no, I'm that's not acceptable to me. What else you got?
Yeah, I know what I want. And if it's not that, then I don't want it. Yeah, because I feel like the crumbs will keep showing up, whether that's in a friendship, business opportunities, family, anything. It will always, the crappy version keeps showing up to see, like that funny Mercury retrograde meme that says that your ex, Mercury retrograde's bringing your ex back to see if you're still stupid.
Yeah.
And
it's
totally. Kind of like that, because really it's my ex in another version. And like, am I still going to tolerate that? No. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It will keep showing you, the same thing if you'll settle for that.
Yeah. So then it's basically the universe taking your order to see, is she going to accept this? Is she going to tolerate this? Like, do we keep running the same program, the same play, the same movie? Or are we going to change the scene, the set, new characters, blah, blah, blah? And that will determine how your story unfolds. Will it be a new story, or will it be the same, movie we've been running for the past however many years of junk?
Yeah. Well, it will give you what you settled for.
Yeah. So then you have to change it, like get clear on what you really want, and once you're clear, don't waver from that. Like, no,
Yeah.
like this. No, it has to be like this. No, it's like this. No.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. You know, it is what you'll settle for and what you think you're worthy of as well, you know?
Yeah,
'Cause if
and
you
what I
don't think that you're worthy of it.
yeah. Yeah. And that's what I was just telling you today is that we tend to put our happiness on layaway and think
Mhm.
oh well, when I'm at the perfect weight and I'm at the perfect, wealth,
Then I'll be happy.
and I'll be happy,
Yeah.
and everything will my knight in shining armor and everything will all show up at the same time, and that will be
Well,
right.
my knight in shining armor just showed up and brought me
Yeah,
the
I know.
plug for my tablet. I'm like,
I know, I could tell. That's so funny. But share a little bit about that to give all us single guys and gals something to look
well,
forward to.
well,
Because
let me plug this in first,
sure,
but
I do feel like I've been guilty of that, of holding myself off. Oh, until this and this and this. But my
yeah,
guidance keeps telling me, no, you're perfect right now. We are all perfect right now in this moment. And then I'm seeing the evidence of other people and seeing like, oh, well, see, they got they're announcing
yeah,
their new relationship or whatever. And I'm not saying that's the end all be all, that like that's the only reason I'm here is for a freaking relationship. No, but I know it's
right,
something that I want, and it's just
yeah,
part of the fun, and it makes life interesting, and we're here to love and all that. I
yeah,
mean, there's so much more, but realizing that there is no limit. I place the limit. We create the limits. So then don't put a limit. Break that limit down and say no. And then I also keep getting reminded of when you least expect it. That's when it always shows up like a butterfly, like,
well,
oh,
yeah,
look.
absolutely. Well, the universe loves that. It loves that kind of that wild card, and there'll always be that. That's why you can't dictate to it. You know,
Mm,
you can ask, "Can I have this or better?" You know,
yeah.
but yeah, you can never like dictate to it. You know, because that would it wouldn't really be any fun then, would it?
Right. I feel like that's exactly right. This is written by you, and you want to be surprised. You want to be surprised and delighted.
Yeah, because the truth is, we get bored. We would get
Yes.
bored very, very fast.
Right.
You know, if we knew, we could just got what we wanted. It'd be like the kid with the Ferrari. Meh.
Yeah.
What else? Oh, this is boring.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, like I was telling you privately how I was freaking out last year about how am I going to get a Christmas tree, Christmas ornaments, Christmas
Yeah.
presents, because the finances weren't there. I was freaking out because I had donated all the old stuff because I really believed that I was moving to Chicago, and it didn't happen. So then I felt like, what the fuck is going on? And freaking out.
Wait, I put in this order specifically.
Right.
Look, I wrote it down. What?
Right. Yeah. Right. And then even though I knew, thank God I didn't get that, but at the same time, I'm like, these kids expect Christmas. They expect certain things. They're kids. If it was up to
Yeah.
me, I'd be like, who
Yeah.
cares? I know it's like, it's not a big deal, but for them, it's a very big deal. So I felt like I had a gun to my head. How am I going to do this?
Yeah.
And
Expectations, right?
lo and behold, everything just beautifully manifested out of nowhere. I got, boom, here you go. And I was able, and very quickly, I think it took me less than a month, probably 2-3 weeks, to create a huge solution. And I was blown away by it. But
Yeah. What you could do.
it was like I couldn't celebrate it because there was a moment of, oh, now it's solved. Oh, what
Yeah.
else is there to freak out about? And it felt
Yeah.
addiction
And
to
this is
the drama, the addiction to the
yes.
angst and the
Yes.
suffering.
And,
And it felt weird because there was a split there. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? I
well,
should be
why do I?
celebrating.
Yeah.
I should be relieved.
Yeah.
I should be happy. And I wasn't.
Hmm. Like,
Like, oh, what else?
well, this is the thing. This is the thing about the mind, because if it doesn't have a problem, it'll make one. Because it loves it. It loves the
Oh
excitement,
yeah,
loves the
like even in
drama.
meeting guys, it's like, oh, you're too perfect. What's wrong with you? You're too this. You're too cute. You're too
Yeah.
that.
Well, because it's the game. This is all, as horrific as so much of it seems. It really is a game of give and take. So that's why we keep trying to get the outside, of us, or our life or the world, to change. And so we keep demanding it change. We keep trying to push it to change. I want my body to change, and I want my job to change. I want my friends to change. I want the world to change. We keep pushing, pushing, pushing. But because the outside is the same as the inside, we see it, we view it as other than, because the mind sees everything as separate,
and an
that's where
enemy.
everything begins, right? It's because it sees the outside as separate from itself, it pushes against it. I don't want this. Well, that's only pushing against you. So if you keep saying, I don't, I don't like that, I don't like that, I don't like that, then you're pushing against what is, and you're pushing against yourself, and then that only pushes pressure on you. So that's why when you let go and accept everything as it is, understanding it's a way bigger picture than your mind will ever be able to figure out, because that's what we want to do. We want to figure it out. But the figuring it out is that you have this thing called a mind that it can't. So I'm going to put that over there, and I'm just going to be, and I'm going to feel here. And that's how I'm going to get there, because that's why there's that picture, like, Jesus and stuff. He's like, I don't know what he's doing with his hand, but he's like pointing to the heart, because that's the doorway within. Because this is the 3D is like the outer crust. We think of our higher self as way out there. And we think of, way far. Oh, come here. Oh,
something unattainable.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Right.
Oh, I got to get this message to you. And then we think of, like, the creator, God, as infinitely farther away, right? And it doesn't work. We're like, no wonder they can't hear me. They're so far away. Yeah. But the 3D is the outer crust. Everything else, all other levels, all other things are the other way. And we keep, that's why when we trying to get there through the outside, it will never work. Because it's only, this is where the other dimensions, if you want to separate them like that, this is where all other things are.
Yeah, the infinite is inside of you. So you are you are a universe inside of you. That's God, that's everything. So then
we're the outer expression of that.
And so then it's like trying to clean your house from standing outside the
well, it's like a mirror. It's like you're like, I have a frown, and you keep going, why isn't it changing? Why isn't it changing? And you're like, oh, it changed.
In a nutshell right there.
But that's it. They're like, oh, hey, it changed. But until you change, then your life changes. Then things change, But of course, we're like, the mind wants everybody. It wants change, but it wants everybody else to change. It wants everything else and everything outside of itself to change, because it views everything as other when there is no.
To boss everybody around.
Me, perfect.
And then you're still
you guys are the problem. The world is the problem. It's all of you in the world. That's the problem.
Right. Yeah. And then so then the most important thing I've learned is not needing anything from anyone, and not needing anything to change, but also at the same time knowing anything can change in a snap second. It's just watching and being okay with it, not resisting it, not fighting it, not needing it to be different, not needing my ex to change, just loving him as he is, and
Because
like,
he
okay,
ain't gonna.
no, and it's
So
like
he's
really,
got his own journey.
really,
Like
I don't care. Like, that's perfect. That doesn't mean I don't love you. And like, same with my friendships and other men in my life. You're perfect and whatever. I don't need anything. And then I feel like that opens so many doors, because then everything's like, oh, okay, you're ready. And it just blooms.
yeah, you take the pressure off. You take the pressure off of
True.
everybody else, all the outside. And then if you take the pressure off of yourself too,
Mhm.
but you know what? That's okay. It's okay that I'm getting older. It's okay that my body isn't what I want. It's okay that, that it's not these ideas that I have, the relief from that. Because that's actually what's putting the pressure on it in the first place. That's actually what's causing the deterioration and
Mhm.
things to break down and
Yeah.
things not to be okay and happy,
Yeah.
because they're in a place of pressure.
Mm.
And when you're like, it's like magnetics, right? You're putting that pressure on yourself, and when you release it, the pressure on yourself, the pressure on the world, everything just is. Then you get into that 0 point energy,
Mm.
where nothing's pushing, nothing's pulling, nothing's demanding. You're just every day what's showing up. You're like, okay, yeah. It's like a
Yeah,
kid on
you're
Christmas morning. Okay,
excited.
what's it
Yeah.
gonna be? It may be like, oh my God, a new pony, or or it may be, oh, a pair of socks. Thanks, Grandma.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel
useful,
like,
but not what I really wanted. But yeah,
well, I feel like that is the whole viewing everything like with the excitement of a child, because
yes,
you just humble yourself so much that you're just so excited by grass growing, like, oh my God, it's so green, it looks so
Mhm.
pretty. And like, just celebrating the tiniest thing, seeing a ladybug or
Yeah.
whatever. And when you view things like that, I feel like everything then just becomes so magical.
When you start really looking,
Appreciate it.
and doing that, because people just take things like, we think that we're the most highly evolved thing that there is, certainly on the planet. And no, you look at grass, right? You can cut it, you can poison it, you can rip it out. It's just going to grow somewhere else if it doesn't just grow back. It's a collective. It always is. It's
Mm.
symbiotic. It's all in communication. It's working together. No problem. You know,
Mhm.
we're not doing that. We're not helping each other. We're not in a symbiotic relationship. We don't have that kind of resiliency where you cut off something and it grows back. So that it is more evolved, really.
So we're learning from them.
Yeah, and we think that we're the highest thing on the planet, and
So they're holding space for us.
yeah.
They're like, when
So
are these dummies
animals,
gonna get it together?
plants, they're in agreement, they're in harmony, they're in flow, they're in
Wow.
acceptance, they're in beauty and love and just expressions, perfect expressions, just doing what they do, not calling that wrong, you
So
know.
we're the cavemen.
Yeah, we're the ones with the mind that is in
Mm.
turmoil, because it's trying to get there and trying to protect itself. We're always trying to uh, seek and get somewhere instead of seeing what it is that's blocking our view in the first place, which
Mm.
is the mind.
Wow.
So it's really relaxing out of that concept, and accepting, what is coming to us, and you know start having fun with it, because that's when you find out, what can I do, what can
Yes.
I do. Well, I was really good at creating a
Hmm.
giant disaster out of my life, so I did that really, really well. Look at all the pain and suffering. Mwah, expert level. So yeah, you're like, what else can I do, and that's when you look at it that way, like a kid and stuff, and that's when you can start having fun. Start playing with the universe, start playing with these energies,
Yeah.
and just accepting. Even though, well, I want tangible proof, the mind wants tangible. I want an angel show up here right now, manifest. Get your ass over here, you know, and we want these proof, then I'll believe. And it
Yeah.
doesn't work that way. You believe, you engage, like, I can't see you, I can't hear you, I have no idea, but you know what? I'm gonna act like you're there. I'm just gonna believe in that, and I'm gonna bring that in, and I'm gonna bring it
When
in,
I'm
bring it in,
trusting
bring it
what
in,
I'm receiving.
and then it starts to show up.
Well, I feel like it always shows up to like, hi, but then like you logic it away. You talk yourself out of
Yeah.
it. Like, oh no, that's just
I just thought of that.
that sparkle didn't happen. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was just a little sparkle with that, you know.
Yeah, but then and then it shows up in other ways, or you ask for a sign and you get a very clear sign, but you're like,
Yeah.
did I see what I saw? Give me another sign about the sign.
Yeah. No. Wait. Let me pull some cards on this.
Right. Bust out the pendulum. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you make that leap of faith and you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna accept you into my life. You're gonna be an everyday thing. Then that will start to show up more and more and more, and it will become as real as someone
Anything
right in the
else?
room with you, absolutely right there with you, as real as anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to say it's real. You have to
Well,
invite that
respect.
in.
I feel like respecting the magic,
Yeah,
and then it shows itself even more because it wants to play with you.
yeah,
But you're the
absolutely.
one
But
like, no.
nah, it's not real.
Yeah.
No, this is real. You know. It's
Yeah.
like,
What do you think about that whole warrior mindset? A lot of keep hearing that about people are like, warriors, this is our time, step up, blah blah blah. And I used to think of myself like that, you know, very Archangel Michael, that's my guy. And I felt like I was always like ready to fight and like decapitate. And like a year ago, I was told, like, no, put the sword down. We're dropping the fight. And I was so in love with the fight because I was so good at it. And I'm like,
it's
but I like it. It's fun. And who am I with?
Yeah, but oh, it's dramatic because it's a story. It's like, oh yeah, but that's the exciting movie that's playing in the theater next door. And
Mm,
what now? What now? What? So it's a very exciting story. It's the hero's journey, isn't it? You know,
mhm.
now is the big battle, and I'm missing it. You know, it's like so.
Whoa.
It is very, you know, the ego does want to get drawn into that, but then it's a story. It's a story that's happening. It's a story that's playing out. It depends on whether you want to be in that story.
Okay, so it's all about choice
Yeah,
because I remember what comes with that is what I was shown. I
yeah,
was shown remember when you have the sword in your hand, you magnetize all that shit to you. It
yeah.
comes
Because
looking for you because you're holding the
right,
sword. So
yes.
it's like, ah, there she is. Let's go
If you're
fight.
looking, yeah, if you're looking at it, it's gonna look at
And it
you.
brings all
You
its
know?
yeah.
Yeah. Then it's
I
like,
remember I
yeah.
couldn't sleep. I
Oops.
would get woken up.
Oops. Sorry.
Speaking of the attack, I would get
I
woken
just
up
attacked it.
fighting and everything, and
Yeah.
there was no peace ever. And I was told, okay, well, that's what comes with it. So if you want that, like
Yeah. That's what you'll
all
get. And
the
this is the
time,
thing.
and
Yeah.
everybody's your enemy in that mindset because I was like, who goes there? You know, all the time.
Yeah. When you're in a place of fear, when you're in a
Exhausting.
place of danger,
Yes.
that's the story you were telling.
Yeah.
That's the story. You just put yourself in that movie theater, you
And
know?
not only in the esoteric, not only energetic, I found in my life,
Yeah.
like it was
Very, very
full
real.
of fights with family members, with friends. It was just fight, 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 fight.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's, well, everyone's got a story. You know, I got a story. You got a story. You know, every city's got a story. Every country's got a story. The world, this planet's got a story. Different planets have different stories. But at the end of the day, it's still a story.
Yeah, and it
So
can
you can be
change.
involved in an infinite number of stories on all the levels that the mind has,
Mhm.
or you can choose to just, I'm just going to step out of the story. Just, you know, just let it all be and not have a story, but just have the truth of reality and at the larger level. So there's many different perspectives and they're all real because they're all really happening. They're all real experiences. But it's like I always say, you can be on Earth, here on Earth, and you can be in a situation where you're homeless and on the street. And that's one perspective. And you could be like, oh my God, this horrible thing, right? Or in a war-torn country and things are happening. Or you can have a different perspective if you're looking from the Earth, from outer space, and you look at the beauty and the perfection of Earth, and you see nothing wrong with it. You see absolute perfection. And so it's your perspective. What's the story depending on your perspective? So when you change where you're focusing, you're changing your perspective, and then you're changing what you're seeing.
Yeah.
So when you're choosing the battle, that's what you're going to get. Or you can choose to step out. It's not like it's not going to happen anyway. It's not like there's not already a conclusion. This is already happening. This has already happened. So it's already going to do what it's going to do, whether or not you're involved.
So then suffering's optional.
Right. So we think, yeah, but if I'm there, then I can change it. I'll be the one that makes the difference. And it's not really true. It's going to do what it's going to do. And when you think of your life, how in control of that have you been? Mm-hmm. It's just kind of gone as it's gone, despite all the things you've tried so hard to do. It still just kind of goes as it goes. And it's the same with the world. It's still going to play out what it needs to play out, despite, you.
So you can resist it, or you can just watch, like you're watching TV.
Yeah. And, but yeah, so it's just gonna go and do what it does, and you can be involved in that story, and maybe you'll even be one of the heroes of the story, or one of the victims of the story, depending on what part, life has put you in. But you always have a choice of whether you want to. It's like a multiplex. You want to go in that theater or that theater or that theater. Mm-hmm. What do you want your story to be?
Yeah. And I think that one of the things that kept me in that warrior mindset for so long was, if I put my sword down and I don't protect myself and shield and hide, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Yeah. So then my guidance was inviting me, showing me like, well, that's not true. And it started showing me, like, with the people that I was at war with, like, what can they really do to you? Are they going to come here and shoot you in the head? No. Okay, well, so then who cares? Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm not going to die. Okay. So then just letting that go, and like, I don't need you to change a damn thing. Just stay exactly as you are. I'm going to be over here. You'll be over there. That's it. I'm dropping the beef. I'm dropping the fight. And everything changed just with that decision. Then I was being shown there is no enemy. There's no dark monster that's going to get you. You are the monster. The monster is you. And then I started seeing like visions of when I was really dark, when I was really 3D, when I was really asleep at my lowest, not proudest moments, and seeing how that still served me and how that served other people. Like, you can always, trace something. A friend of mine said you can always trace something really good to something really shitty. And I see that, like, whoa, out of everything shitty, something fabulous is born. And I understood that. And so I didn't hate myself. I didn't judge myself. I didn't, chastise myself for not being perfect. I embraced those dark parts and said, you know what? I had a lot of fun being an asshole. That was fun. I had a fun being a liar. I had a fun cheating. I had fun, like all that crap. And
You
like,
played those characters, right? All those
yes,
different
like it was an
characters.
adventure, it was a movie, and I enjoyed it, so I'm not like sorry for it. Like I don't like that I hurt people, but I see the blessings that it brought in the lessons. And
Right.
so then when I made peace with it and wasn't fighting it or being ashamed or guilty, it all melted like just okay, next scene. It's all rainbows and
Mhm.
butterflies and like, how did I get here?
Yeah, yeah. And so all these other people allowed you to play that part, and that helped you, just
It
like
helped me understand them. It helped me understand like, oh, I see the draw or the
Mhm.
magnetism of lying, stealing, whatever, leaving,
Yeah, yeah.
cheating. I see because I did that too. Even though I
Hmm.
was wrong and it was a fucking lie that I told myself, and I'm like, oh, I'm never doing that again. But
Yeah.
nobody can tell you that. You have to walk it, get burned, and say, oh shit, not this.
Yeah.
This isn't
Well,
it.
that's why I always think, that's why we have to be born like as a man or born as a woman, because you can never understand that otherwise. And, be born to the height of beautiful experiences, but also experience what it's like to be a murderer, right? And that sounds really harsh, but you can never have compassion on someone who has done that until you can understand what would drive somebody to do
Right.
that.
Yeah.
What happened to put a person in that place where they would do such a thing,
Yeah. How
you
bad
know?
does it have to get for you to crack
Right.
and do something that you
Yeah,
normally
so
wouldn't do? Yeah.
right. So if that was one of your lifetimes, then you can have compassion upon all people, because you understand what drives people, what happens to people, and how people can lose control or lose judgment, and fall into those places.
Yeah. So compassion, yes, but at the same time, that paying attention to that feeling that would come up in me of saying, mm-mm, we don't need to play in the mud anymore. Get the hell away, turn around, go. Nope. Yes. And
It's
then
always there.
listening to that and like, oh yeah, I don't need to play in the mud anymore. Let me get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll play there as long as you want to. Like I always say, it's like going into a bar, and being like, "I'll save you all," and you're just gonna get hit with all these bottles, because they're not ready. They're not ready to. They don't want to.
I
But
feel
when
like
they're
that was
ready,
us 2 years ago with like trying to wake people up. Everybody throwing their garbage at us. Like, get the fuck.
yeah, they don't want to, and it's not even our right to do that. It's really a violation
To impose
to.
your beliefs and
Yeah,
give them
yeah.
the cheat codes. Yeah, that's not.
Yeah, we say that what it's a backhanded compliment, so to speak. We're
Mhm.
saying what you're doing is wrong, that you're not doing it the way I want you to or the way I think you should. You're doing it your way, and I think that that's wrong.
Yeah,
So that's a judgment, and there's nothing wrong, because if that's what it takes to finally get it, then
yeah,
that's just what it takes, and that's the way it is for all of us.
yeah,
Whatever route we take, if
yeah.
that's what it takes for us to finally move or finally change or finally get it, then that's just what it took. And there's
Right.
nothing wrong with any of it.
Yeah. And we didn't take the perfect road either. Like
No,
it
well, there is no perfect
yeah,
route.
me seeing my own mistakes of like, oh God, that was rough.
Yeah. Like,
And then
ooh.
acknowledging that and not giving myself pious airs for being perfect because I know I'm not. And just like,
Yeah.
okay, you're
Well,
okay.
nobody, yeah, nobody is. No one's here to be perfect, and anyone who says that they are is
Well then perfect is so
not true.
boring.
It's not
It's
lying.
boring and
Yeah,
unrelatable and so separate and it's not fun.
it's not interesting, because it's like a diamond, right? Well, they make absolutely perfect diamonds that they use for like cutting blades, diamond cutting blades, all kinds of things. So there's man-made, absolutely flawless diamonds that aren't really worth much of anything, but the ones that are unique,
Hmm.
that's worth all the money. the more unique it is, the
Yeah,
more
like a
unique a
yellow
painting
center.
is.
Hmm.
Right. Yeah. That's like, wow, that,
So different. Yeah.
that's beautiful, and that's worth having, and that's worth being, and that's worth becoming. Um, when you realize that perfection, that you can bloom into anything you want, and that's fun, you know?
Yeah, and getting to know other people, and it's so easy to see other people as beautiful and
Mhm.
accept their imperfections and just be so dazzled by them irregardless of what they think is so horrible and wrong with them. But then for ourselves, we're like, nope, I have to be totally perfect. I have to be
Yeah.
totally, I can't get a wrinkle. I can't have one gray hair. I can't,
Yeah, yeah, we want to put forth this view of what we think perfection is, and that's not what makes us lovable. That's not even what makes us likable, you know?
right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or interesting.
Mhm.